let's watch a little bit of Home Ground, a project of Stephen and Carlo.
One is never lonely or alone when one is home.
And letting the whole world know that all is one. We are all one. We are all connected. We are all brothers and sisters.
I'm holding out for a new day to come. It's not so much the world's problem as it is the human problem. That's strong, man.
One is never lonely or alone when one is home, not just house or country or place home. Home like heart home, soul home. Home like a tree finds home and roots in fertile soil. Home ground, we all just homeward bound like nomads. We all just nomads looking to be rooted in something real. Staying, ever traveling to, searching for home by sea, through field, through struggle, in mind. We all just homeward bound, looking to take root in that place, that space, that soil, that home ground. We all just nomads, we all just homeward bound. And one is never lonely or alone when one is home, and one is never lonely or alone when one is home, and one is never lonely or alone when one is home. One is never lonely or alone when one is home.
And this time, Stephen was a client and you were hired. What changed in your mechanic of working?
Nothing.
Oh, beautiful.
Well, there was, because Carlo suddenly called me, "You're a dictator."
No, it was, we didn't work for a long time. That was the first time since ages that we... But at the same moment, I did a short movie for the Red Cross. And I was in Sicily and Lampedusa, and I was filming drowning refugees coming, and it was very impressive short thing I did. And for this film, I asked Stephen to do the sound. And the same time, I think it was about the same time he was working on the home ground, and it had to do with each other. Those two, the atmosphere and the importance was the same. So for me, it was a really nice job to do for Steph. It really was, my heart was for this. The world is on fire, for example, and it's like what Marvin Gaye did in the 70s with what's going on. That's what's going on in the world, and I loved the album and the lyrics and the whole thing. It was beautiful, and a cooperation with War Child. It was.
And there's always, I feel, these humanitarian things in what you do, because I know that you just released a new free album, right? I'm going to ask more about it, but there's also these humanitarian things in what you do. Looks like your albums are always giving donations to other causes, or how those causes come into your work? Were they before? Were you ever intended to release it for it? Or after you release it, you decided, no, I'm going to give it away to this cause because I feel it? Or how did it end up in your work? Because it's always there somehow.
It's always there, and it didn't used to be. You know, in the 80s, it wasn't like that. I was more of an art for art's sake type of guy. But then, you know, when you get more engaged in society, but, you know, even as a reader of newspapers, you feel art for art's sake is a bit of a luxury statement. So I thought to read a bit more on that, which is what I always do. I research and then I decide, yeah, that's the same direction for me too. It appeals to me. So, for example, I read a quote by Miles Davis where he said that it's every artist's responsibility to reflect in his art or her art what is going on in society. And there are many levels in which you can do that by becoming an activist and on the barricades, or you can be a bit more subdued or subtle on things. And my point of reference for Homegrown was that What's Going On by Marvin Gaye was, I think, where the aesthetic was still pleasing, because, you know, the whole idea for Homegrown was that I would rather opt to change things in the world by a fist in a velvet glove. So meaning soothing music, not to psych up everyone even more, like Public Enemy used to do, you know, with a sort of a militant music coupled to militant lyrics. And I would rather have something where you don't upset people in telling things should be different. And that's how that happened. And therefore, to answer your question, in that case, it was a conscious decision as a starting point for the concept of the album, with this already in mind, and not only in retrospect.